basketball factor caps that we're just going to roll right into. So, Shaun, I'm going to swing it to you first. Factor cap. Victor Wembanyama should be the MVP this season.
I'm going to say that this is a fact, and it's kind of up in the air right now because of the 65 game rule and the fact that he's kind of towing that line of it right now. And you have guys like a Cade Cunningham, a Luka Doncic, other guys who could have been in this discussion, but they got eliminated because of the 65 game rule. But Wemby, he has just been on another level this year. He is truly a two-way player. He is the best defensive player in the NBA. That's not a question. He's led the Spurs to a 60-win season. And the fact that he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, some people feel like, oh, well, okay, if they're a dominant defender, then they shouldn't be looked at for MVP. MVP has become an offensive award. But you look at a guy like Nikola Jokic, whose stats are better than his 23-24 MVP season, and he's not really even in the discussion for MVP right now. And so, to me, looking at the Spurs' improvement year over year, the fact that Wemby has done this, yeah, he has De'Aaron Fox, he has a lot of other great pieces around him, but the fact that he's done this with a second-year head coach in Mitch Johnson, who has done a great job in his own right, taking over for Greg Popovich, but just the turnaround that the Spurs have had from last season to this season and everything that goes with it, to me, Victor Wembanyama has been the most valuable player in the league this year. Is he the best player right now? That could be debated. But to me, he has been the most valuable, and that's why I believe this is a fact.
All right, Toddy, let's swing it to you next. Victor Wembanyama should win MVP.
It always goes back to what you determine MVP means, which is valuable, kind of going back to what Shaun was saying. When Shai got hurt for those 2 weeks, Thunder were still winning games. They still had double-digit spreads. They didn't have Jalen Williams. He wasn't out there. They just had Chet Holmgren, Cason Wallace, and a lot of those guys rolling out. And they were still winning games by double digits. Victor Wembanyama, on the other hand, when he's present, obviously having a full season with guys like De'Aaron Fox, you drafted Dylan Harper, the conglomerate of the team together. But when you have Victor Wembanyama as your anchor, arguably probably the best defensive player in the league currently right now, and one of the most gifted players in basketball, I think it should be Victor Wembanyama. However, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is minus 4,000 to win the MVP. So Shai is going to win it. But that's not the question. I think the question is, should Victor Wembanyama win MVP? I think that's yes. I think when healthy, the Spurs have a chance to win the championship this year. I think we all understand how good the Spurs team can be. They have, when they played OKC that beaten them 3 times to be exact. And I think the playoffs, man, starts next week. I'm excited. We're all ready to gear back in. Obviously, the college basketball is over. We're starting to hit that season where NBA playoff basketball is, and things kind of start to wind down. But to answer the question, factor capital, Victor Wembanyama should win MVP. I think he should. Want to throw my hat in the ring about Jaylen Brown? I gotta
put your hat back on.
Wouldn't do myself justice.
Put your hat back on.
I did mention Jaylen Brown on what he's been able to do this year and carry this team and hold down the fort while my boy JT gets back right. And boy, has he done it. So I want to give a shout out to Jaylen Brown. I'm going to be the guy, that one vote is probably going to be me that votes for Jaylen Brown. 30 people vote for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Who was the one person that voted for Jaylen Brown? It was me, guys. All right. So want to get my hats out there. But yes, I think Victor Wembanyama should win the MVP.
One thing that I wanted to add to follow up on what Toddy was saying, just because some people might have just heard what Toddy said and they're like, oh, he's a biased Boston Celtics fan. I want to back that up just by saying that if JT didn't come back as soon as he did, then Jalen would still be doing exactly what he did for 60 games of this season, which is leading a Celtics team who some people questioned if they would even finish in the top 6 of the East without Jason Tatum, to arguably a top 2, top 3 team in the East. And so if Jason Tatum was not a medical miracle and worked his way back, like it took a lot of work from Jason Tatum, but if he didn't get back in the timetable that he did, Jaylen Brown would still be carrying the Celtics team. And if that were the case, to me, Jaylen Brown would be the MVP. So I just wanted to back Toddy up on that, because some people may take his opinion there with a grain of salt that he's a Celtics fan. But from my unbiased perspective, if Jason Tatum didn't come back as fast as he did, Jaylen Brown would be this season's MVP.
Yeah, no, it was cute sentiment. Obviously, they were second seed in the West. It's not like they were the eighth seed. So let's call a spade a spade. So factor cap, Victor Wembanyama should be MVP. Toddy brought up the stats of Shai with the Spurs, or the Thunder did not have Shai. They went 8-4 this season. Toddy, you want to know what the record was with the Spurs without Wemby? 12-4. So, I mean, I get it. You want to say the Thunder are a really good team without Shai, but so are the Spurs. You can't win MVP when you're playing the bare minimum minutes. He's played 8 games of 20 minutes because that's the exact minute you need for a game to count. So he snuck himself in here. And if you have to plead your case in front of the national media on why you should win MVP, you should not win MVP. Let's call it spade a spade. Shai's the best player in the NBA, so he should win the MVP. He's on the best team. They have more wins. They're the better defensive team. And I get it, once somebody wins an MVP, everyone wants to see how fast we can get them from winning a second one. We saw with the Joker, he should have won 4 in a row, but they gave one to Joel. We saw with LeBron when they gave it away because they didn't want the same person to win over and over and over. So now we're starting to see that with Shai, and he only has 1. I get it. Like I said, Victor's the new shiny toy. He's finally played a season where he's long enough to be eligible for these awards. So it's interesting to see. But like I said, if you're there hasn't been MVP in our lifetime that's played the bare minimum games and come off the bench. It just doesn't happen. If you're the MVP, you're starting all the games. And I get it. He's been hurt, so they're on a minutes restriction. But it's funny how he's playing exactly 20 minutes. If it's a minutes restriction, aren't you kind of leveling back to be okay? But you want to tell us you're put him on a minutes restriction where you're playing him exactly enough minutes to stay in the race. So what is it? So I'm going to say Shai is my MVP, but I think Shaun has a rebuttal for me, so I would love to hear it.
I mean, I'm just wondering if you remember which franchise he plays for. Greg Popovich isn't around anymore, but he plays for the franchise that invented load management. And so, yeah, he may be I get your point that he may be on a minutes restriction. And typically with a minutes restriction, you're supposed to ramp up from there. But he is on the franchise that invented load management. So if it's going to take 20 minutes a game to keep him in that MVP and DPOY race, then that's exactly what they're going to do, because ultimately this Spurs team is great enough to be a top 3 seed in the West, and they're not concerned about winning 70 games in the regular season. They're worried about winning 16 in the postseason, and they want Wemby to start stacking his accolades. So that's why he's going to continue playing 20 minutes a game.
Side note, I'm also very excited to see De'Aaron Fox in the playoffs, because last time he was in the playoffs, he lit it up for the Kings. I'm just saying, just because, he wasn't able to be present in those playoff moments, do all those other seasons because the Kings are going to king. I think De'Aaron Fox is going to remind a lot of people how good of a guard he is in the NBA.
Damn right.
I got a hot take for you guys about the Spurs this year.
Let's hear it.
De'Aaron Fox will not be on the team next year.
Because Harper's
I don't necessarily think that's a hot take,
considering that made it sound perfect. De'Aaron Fox is the perfect example of the dynasty starts after you, not with you.
Oh man, that hurts for me as a Fox fan, because he had a game in the last week where he just absolutely went off and carried the Spurs to a win, and he had that typical Fox fourth quarter performance. And I was watching the highlight on SportsCenter as it was within the first 5 to 10 minutes, and I was thinking to myself, damn, I don't recall seeing Kings highlights in the first 5 to 10 minutes with De'Aaron Fox leading a fourth quarter charge. Then I thought, fuck, I missed that guy. And then the next thought that came to my mind is I'm so happy for him because, like, ultimately, just like we were talking about earlier in the episode, how Kevin's a Michael Vick fan, I'm a Sabrina Ionescu fan. I mean, I became a Fox fan when he got on the Kings rather than before he joined a franchise. But I became a huge fan of De'Aaron Fox during his time in Sacramento, and I will be a fan of De'Aaron Fox for the rest of his career. And so I'm happy for him as a player, but it still hurts me to see him having so much success outside of Sacramento because it should have happened here as we had that brief moment that Toddy alluded to. But yeah, I'm so happy for him. I hope the Spurs win a championship this year just so the dynasty doesn't start after him so he can at least get a ring. But Kevin, that's not that hot of a take in my opinion, just because of the guys who they have on the roster behind him that play the same position of a Stephon Castle and a Dylan Harper. And so, man, I just hope Fox can get himself one ring.
To hell with De'Aaron Fox. He's the reason we're in fucking purgatory. Because he said, I'm not going if you're getting rid of Stephon Castle. And what do? Bend the knee. It's okay. You know who we want? We want Zach LaVine. Dylan Harper should be a fucking Sacramento King. To hell with De'Aaron Fox. Anyways, that's our other 2 cents.
Yeah, we could go back and forth, Kevin, but I'll just choose to step back from this debate and keep it moving.